Good afternoon YouTube, it's Warbles on a lot here, and further to my series of life in a eucalyptus food forest, as you can see I'm standing in front of a wattle tree. You may have heard of wattle chino. Well, let's just have a little bit of a look at what's actually hanging off the tree at the moment. Right at the moment, hanging off the tree are these seed pods, and in the seed pods they are reasonably easy to collect. Large black seeds, and each one of them has on it a very small white, soft, juicy, tender piece of carbohydrate that's quite a high energy bit of tucker if you're a forest floor dweller. And the idea is, when the tree drops its leaf case with the seeds in it on the ground, ants are going to pick that up and carry it underground, and they're going to eat the little white bit on the outside, and that rewards the ant for taking it underground, and it means the wattle seed has cooperated the ant into planting it. And it's a nice little piece of commensalism between an insect and a seed-bearing plant. Now, people can eat that little white bit if they want to, so that's one thing you can do with the wattle seed. And it's not as if you have to do too much work to get them, because when it's wattle seed time, the ground is carpeted with wattle seed cases, and most of them have been knocked off the tree by cockatoos or possums who are also out for a feed. So there's plenty of wattle seed cases to be collected, and then it's not a big deal to strip them and get the seeds out. And separate what you want from what you don't want. And to reward the person who's collecting the wattle seeds, they get to eat the little white bit off the end of the seed case. See if we can get that in telephoto. So you get a snack while you're collecting the wattle seeds, and then you take all the black hard seed cases and you take them to your flour mill. And of course Aborigines stash their flour mills pretty much everywhere. Here we have one such flour mill, so to speak. As you can see, there's a depression that's been worn in this slice of basalt. There's another one there, but this is the main depression, and I'm using a granite pestle in the basalt mortar. So, pour in your wattle seeds, and grind them. Crack the outside, and you get to make your damper. And that stops your teeth from having to work their way through it. And I don't pretend to be experienced in the method, because I buy my bread at the baker's in town. But the principle works. And if the mayans are correct, and the solar flare brings a coronal mass ejection, such that the civilization is destroyed by earthquakes, floods, fires and jaguars falling from the sky, which was the Mayan term for comets and meteorites that punch through the atmosphere and hit the ground, I guess I may have to learn how to use wattle seed and make wattle seed flour and make wattle seed damper. But that's my theory, and I'm clinging to it tightly. because it's not as if I'm going to be suffering any shortage of wattle trees anytime soon. I've got 40 hectares of the things. This country is particularly good for growing wattle seeds, and it's also fairly excellent for all the different kinds of flax lilies. And as we walk over in this general direction, we can see that wild native parsnips, Trachybean incisor, are growing wild, whereas only a sort of obsessive compulsive overcompensated inferiority complex style of a lunatic would seriously bring hard-footed land lice here and connect them to a machine for putting the topsoil at the bottom of the ocean, filling the rivers with dirt and decorating the New Zealand mountaintops with Australian topsoil in a country where there's wild native parsnips growing literally under the abandoned plough. How's that for a piece of contemporary static sculpture? And for your edification, we've even got wing mirrors on the plough so the idiot can see who's fooling himself as they work hard all day in the hot, hot sun, and golly golly gee, it was not fun, mum. Interesting, isn't it? In these troubling times, should we continue with the white man's burden and believe the cutworm forgives the plough? Or should we accept that there's 40,000 years of proof that the Aboriginal way of life is sustainable on the continent of Australia, whereas 230 years of European agriculture after the release of the sheep and the potato by a bunch of people who were too arrogant to pay attention of what was already there, free for the harvest, has managed to turn a food forest where you can harvest what you want into a bare, stony, rocky desert created by the sheep for the benefit of the sheep, because that's what sheep like to live in. A smoking, ruined wreck of a landscape that once upon a time used to be a really nice place to live for a free-range human. Ciao.